Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here. My name is Janine Borland-Mann. I am the president of the Board of Governors for the Jewish Federation of the San Gabriel and Pomona Valleys. Mayor, Congresswoman, elected officials, and guests, good evening and thank you for joining us at the Jewish Federation's annual Every Person Has a Name, our remembrance of those who were murdered during the Holocaust. This event is particularly important, not only to remember those who perished at the hands of Nazis and hate, but to remember how important it is to prevent hate today. Anti-Semitism and hate-based violence is increasing. Events like this recognize the importance of education and prevention programs. On behalf of the Board of Governors of the Jewish Federation of the Greater San Gabriel and Pomona Valleys, I thank our elected officials and the city of Pasadena for hosting this event. I also acknowledge the work you have done to reschedule us and this event from the original date in January. We appreciate the work you continue to do to support our communities as they recover and rebuild from the horrific fires. Thank you again for being here. It is my pleasure to introduce our Federation's Executive Director, Jason Moss.
Good evening, everyone. We're honored to once again be back on these steps of Pasadena City Hall to hold this important community event with the support of the city of Pasadena. This annual event continues to provide our entire community an opportunity to remember and honor those who were murdered during the Holocaust. Over the last 10 plus years, we have witnessed an unparalleled rise of hate and animosity focused on the other, the likes of which we have not seen, that have not been seen since the 1930s in Germany. As the rate of anti-Semitism and other forms of hate has skyrocketed, recent surveys like the one conducted by the Conference on Jewish Material Claim against Germany clearly illustrates why an event like this is so critical. According to the survey results, 76% of American adults believe something like the Holocaust could happen again. Think about that for a moment. And yet, it is one of the reasons why we continue to hold this event, to serve both as a reminder of what immense hatred can lead to, and also to remember that people were murdered during the Holocaust because of a similar hatred, the hatred of the other. Now, 6 million is a daunting number. And because of that, society often forgets that this figure is actually made up of 6 million individual stories and experiences, along with countless others who survived the horrors and atrocities perpetrated by the Nazis. Over the next 24 hours, we will remind the world that each was a living, breathing person whose life was brutally cut short for a straightforward reason: they were Jews. They were daughters and sons, mothers and fathers, aunts and uncles, grandmothers and grandfathers, co-workers, neighbors, and friends, just like the ones each of us have in our own lives. Tonight marks the 7th year we have held this event. While normally held in January to commemorate UN International Holocaust Remembrance Day, this year's event falls on March 22nd, the 92nd anniversary of the first concentration camp, Dachau, opening and beginning the atrocity that would later become known as the Holocaust. By holding this event, we continue to stand up and collectively say that we not only remember, but we are also demonstrating that there is no place for hate in our community or anywhere in society. Tonight, I also want us to take a moment to honor Holocaust survivors and their families who are with us and those who could not be here. They lived through the horrors and atrocities of the Holocaust and continue to serve as an ever-present reminder for all of us. We honor, recognize, and pay tribute to you. Sadly, each day our world loses more and more survivors, and with them their firsthand eyewitness testimonies. It is now becoming our responsibility. Thankfully, organizations like the Holocaust Museum LA, the Simon Wiesenthal Center, Anne Frank LA, the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum, Yad Vashem, and the Shoah Foundation are dedicated to ensuring that future generations never forget, and that the stories they have shared can continue to remind people of the atrocities they experienced. They continue to bear witness to what hate can lead to. Thank you to our distinguished guests who are here with us tonight. You demonstrate the importance of a program like this by sharing your time with us. We sincerely appreciate your support and participation. Thank you to my staff and the Board of Governors of the Jewish Federation for helping ensure that a program like this continues to happen each year. And lastly, to all of you here and online, along with the more than 150 volunteers who will read names over the course of the next 24 hours, as well as the countless number of people, who will stop and listen to the names being read. Together, we are keeping the memory alive of the 6 million individuals' lives that the Nazis brutally took during the Holocaust. By saying their names out loud, we restore some of the dignity and humanity they lost and keep their memory alive. It now gives me great pleasure to introduce the Mayor of Pasadena, Victor Gordo, to say a few words.
Thank you, Rabbi. Let me first begin by coming out tonight, and I'd like to recognize my friend and predecessor, Mayor Terry Tornick, for being here tonight as well. Let me just say that Rabbi has talked about the 6 million individual lives, but think about the families of those 6 million people. Think of friends. Think about all of the people who were ultimately impacted. We should keep them in our thoughts and prayers. And think about the generations of people who were impacted forever. And we should keep in mind that every one of them, of those 6 million people, had an identity, had friends, had family, had people around them that cared about them. And it's an occurrence, a tragedy in our human history that should never be repeated. And now we fast forward and we look around the world and we see atrocities being committed throughout the world. And we have a responsibility, knowing what we know, knowing the history that we know, to stand up and say it's not okay. It's not okay in Pasadena. It's not okay in California. It's not okay in the United States of America. And it's not okay in any part of the world. Because when we think about atrocity, we shouldn't just think about what occurred, but we should think about how to prevent what occurred. And that's our responsibility as human beings. And so on behalf of all residents of Pasadena, I'm here to say thank you for remembering the names of those 6 million people, but also thank you for remembering their friends, their family, their neighbors, and all those around them.
For the last several years, we've had the opportunity to have a representative from the Israeli consulate. Unfortunately, this year that was not able to happen, but the Consul General, Israel Bahar, did send a letter that I wanted to share with everybody tonight. Dear members of the Jewish community of San Gabriel and Pomona Valleys, as we approach Yom HaShoah next month and have marked already International Holocaust Day, I want to take a moment to reflect on the significance of tonight's event and extend my heartfelt thoughts to each of you. On this solemn occasion, we remember the 6 million Jewish men, women, and children whose lives were stolen during the horrors of the Holocaust. Their memories are etched in our hearts, and their stories continue to shape the strength of the Jewish people. Today is not only a day of mourning, but also one of unwavering commitment to the principles of remembrance and resilience. We are reminded of the importance of preserving the memory of those who perished, honoring the survivors, and ensuring that each such atrocities are never forgotten or repeated. In the San Gabriel and Pomona Valleys, a vibrant and diverse Jewish community thrives, and I'm deeply moved by the dedication each of you demonstrates in ensuring that the memory of the Holocaust is passed on to future generations. The resilience and strength of the Jewish people, exemplified by survivors over the decades, is an inspiration to us all. This year, as we gather to remember, I urge each of you to reflect not only on the profound loss, but also on the power of unity and remembrance. By continuing to share stories, educate, and honor the lives of those lost, we ensure that the spirit of Yom HaShoah lives on in every generation. We strengthen our commitment to combat hate and intolerance, both in our communities and in the world. May we all find comfort in the words of the prophet Isaiah, who teaches us that, quote, "You have escaped the sword. Go, do not stand still." Let us continue to stand strong, to carry the memory of the past, and to build a future founded on justice, peace, and compassion for all. On behalf of the State of Israel and the Consulate General, I wish you a meaningful every person has a name. May the memories of those who perished guide us in our efforts to create a better world. With deepest respect and solidarity, Israel Bachar, Consul General. And now I'd like to bring up Raina and her friends to perform Eli Eli. Now it gives me great pleasure to introduce Congresswoman Judy Chu, who represents California's 27th Congressional District. And I want to point out that she has not missed an event since we've had this since 2019. Congresswoman, thank you so much.
I'm Congressmember Judy Chu, and I'm so grateful for the opportunity to join you once again for this very solemn event. And I want to thank the Jewish Federation of the Greater San Gabriel Valley and Pomona Valleys for the work you do every year to host the Every Person Has a Name Memorial event, and for always inviting me to take part. Your leadership and the commitment of everyone involved is essential to ensuring that what happened to the Jewish population and other communities targeted during the Holocaust can never happen again. And that means educating every generation about the horrors and the realities of the Holocaust. That is why today's event means so much, and I'm always so moved by it. By remembering these names over these 25 hours and reading them aloud, we ensure that history is not forgotten. And more importantly, we ensure that these lives are not forgotten. They are not numbers, but individuals who lived and learned and loved and who were killed because of an ideology of hate. By remembering, we can teach others to understand how it happened, the way propaganda paved the way for pogroms, ghettoization, and eventually the unthinkable horror of Nazi death camps. And they almost succeeded with entire Jewish communities, centers of Jewish culture and learning that had existed in Europe for centuries, completely erased. But when we remember, we can keep these communities alive. And indeed, today, the Jewish people remain and are thriving. But sadly, so do those communities and those that try to continue to spread hate. Since October 7th, 2023, the US and indeed the entire world has seen an increase in anti Semitism. Just over the past year, we saw stories like that of a Jewish barber in New York who was stabbed repeatedly by a man saying he wanted to kill Jews, and of a Jewish family in Seattle that was pelted with eggs and anti Semitic slurs. We're seeing public figures with massive followings spout anti Semitic hate and Holocaust denialism. And just 4 years ago, during the January 6th violent attack on the US citizen, we saw insurrectionists proudly wearing slogans on their chests like Camp Auschwitz and 6 million weren't enough. And of course, we must never forget that just 6 years ago, the Jewish community suffered the deadliest anti Semitic attack in US history at the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. It's clear that we need to be proactive in confronting this hatred and educating Americans about the horrors of the Holocaust. That's why I have co sponsored legislation in Congress, including the Holocaust Education and Anti Semitism Lessons Act and the Never Again Education Reauthorization Act, bills that would enable the U.S. Holocaust Memorial Museum to help schools across the country teach about the Holocaust and anti Semitism. And we must take examples of those who helped Jews in their time of need. That is why I was so proud to introduce legislation that would, for the first time ever, commemorate with a Congressional Gold Medal the Americans who, at great personal risk, stepped up to rescue Jews from almost certain death during the Holocaust. They include heroes like American diplomat Hiram Bingham IV, who, while stationed in Marseille, France, during the country's takeover by the Nazis, defied American consulate policy and secretly issued over 2,500 visas to help Jewish refugees escape. What he did cost him his career, but I know he was proud that he did it. And by doing this, he saved lives. His bravery is an example to all of us. So thank you for hosting today's memorial and for all that you are doing to fight hatred and division. Together, we can ensure that the names and lives of the 6 million Jews murdered in the Holocaust are remembered. Thank you.
Thank you, Congresswoman. Unfortunately, Supervisor Barger, the current chair of LA County's Board of Supervisors, who represents the 5th Supervisorial District, is not able to join us this evening, but in her place, Assistant Field Deputy Brendan Hidalgo will speak on her behalf.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. On behalf of LA County Supervisor Catherine Barger, it is my humble honor to join you tonight. Thank you to the Jewish Federation of the Pomona and San Gabriel Valleys for hosting this remarkable vigil each year. This incredible organization has been a source of support, education, and engagement for our Jewish community. Your ongoing work to promote tolerance and foster community is both admirable and critically important. Thank you. Tonight, we come together to commemorate the lives of the innocent men, women, and children who perished in the Holocaust. By reading their names, we honor their legacy and renew our vow to never allow history to repeat itself. This tradition pays homage not only to those directly affected by the Holocaust, but also to those who have felt the ripple effect generations after. Coming together as a community from diverse backgrounds, we illustrate our dedication to support one another regardless of our differences. We must remain committed to stand up for those in need, raise our voices when our neighbors are persecuted, and stand against all forms of hate. Thank you again for this opportunity to join you this meaningful tribute. May each of these names continue to be lovingly remembered. Thank you.
Now I'd like to invite Senator Susan Rubio, who represents California's 22nd State Senate District, a proud member of California Legislative Jewish Caucus in Sacramento, and a friend of our Jewish community, to say a few words.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you once again for allowing me to come and join you here in this beautiful community and to remember with you once again. I'm State Senator Susan Rubio, and I represent the 22nd Senate District. Thank you. And again, thank you to the Jewish Federation of the Greater San Gabriel Valley in Pomona and its leader, Jason Moss, for putting this important event together as we remember the names of those that should never be forgotten. And every year that I come, it just really brings tears to me just to think of all the families, not just that perish, but all the generations who have to suffer the trauma of those years. And so any families out there that still continue to feel what your family members went through, just let me just say, my heart goes out to you, because these types of traumas just don't disappear. It continues to resonate generations after. This is one of these days that I'd like to just discuss a little bit of myself as an educator. I've been teaching for almost 20 years in the classroom, and it's something that I take very seriously and personally, because we know that if we don't teach our students proper history, then we leave it to others to teach it for us in a way that's not accurate and it's hurtful. So today I want to just share that what we're seeing across our nation is a warning of what happens when hate is left unchecked. And I know I heard stories about anti-Semitism in years past, 4 years ago, last year, but I have to share with you, as a member of the Jewish Caucus, our members continue to be heckled, insulted, and sometimes yelled at right in front of their offices. So it's not something that has disappeared. It continues to be very present in our communities, and our Jewish Caucus members have really dealt with it in a way that's respectful, but it gets harder and harder when some bystanders just stand there and let that happen. So I just want to keep reminding people that it's not always just one community, but now we see so many communities that are dealing with hatred. I'm very proud right now to be an author of SB 19, which is the Safe Schools and Places of Worship Act, which will prohibit those individuals that threaten, and not only educational institutions, but also religious institutions, to really allow our public safety officers to go after these individuals. It continues to happen more and more often. And I know that if we don't take it seriously, it will never stop. I've gotten some information back from some agencies that say that the numbers continue to grow, and I don't think we have to have data given to us to know that it continues to grow, the hatred, especially to the Jewish community. So I'm so honored that as a teacher, the governor appointed me to the Council for Holocaust and Genocide Education to try and figure out how to create a thoughtful curriculum that can be brought into our schools that educates in a way that's respectful of everyone. I'm also a proud co-author of Bill AB 1468 by Assemblymember Rick Zabur and Don Addis, which is something that we've been struggling to pass for a little while. It's ethnic studies. Again, it's a way to create curriculum standards for ethnic studies to not leave every individual to teach what they believe is the truth, but teach what history really is. And so once again, I just want to say thank you for allowing me to come and say a few words here today. But I know that lessons are not confined to the past. Lessons are something that continues to be needed today. So today we see how dangerous rhetoric spreads like a disease, affecting minds on social media in particular, political discourse, and even in our own communities. I myself have been heckled just for being a member of the Jewish caucus, and we will not tolerate that. Hate crimes are rising, conspiracy theories are also thriving, and the lie that some people are worth less than others continues to echo throughout our communities and just in different forms by different people. Some ask, why do we need to continue to remember? And that's because the forces that made the Holocaust possible, anti Semitism, scapegoating, and dangerous belief that some people are superior, are still alive today. And they did not end in 1945. And if we do not challenge them, they will continue to shape the world and our children today. That is why we stand here tonight to make sure that we read the names of those that are no longer with us, that we say to not only those that we lost, but their families, we say to you and to all of you, at least as it pertains to the legislature, and as a proud member of the Jewish caucus, we will not stand silently while our community continues to be scapegoat, continues to be yelled at, and the horrific names that are being called on social media need to stop. So you have an ally, a friend, and I will be here every year if you allow me. Thank you so much and have a wonderful evening.
And now it gives me great pleasure to introduce State Senator Sasha Renee Perez, who represents California's 25th State Senate District. Before she comes up, I don't know, Senator, if you remember, but in 2023, when our Jewish Federation was going through trying to get cities to sign and to issue and approve resolutions condemning anti-Semitism, when you were a city council member in Alhambra, you seconded the motion to make sure that it could come to a vote. And it is something that I've remembered still to this day and appreciate it, and never really publicly thanked you, because it was your help by moving it forward that we were able to get 29 of our 48 cities to adopt resolutions condemning anti-Semitism and all forms of hate. So thank you. So Senator.
And thank you. Thank you. I just want to take a moment to thank and honor Jason Moss just for all of his incredible work. Um, I know you give credit to us oftentimes, for seconding and moving these items, but these are very basic and straightforward things that we need to be doing. And I just appreciate you continuing to keep the focus on these important issues to address hate, and so that we can remember, that anti-Semitism is very real, and for our local cities to continue to do what we can to address it. So thank you, Jason, for all of your work. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, esteemed members of the Jewish Federation of the Greater San Gabriel and Pomona Valleys, and honored guest. My name is Senator Sasha Renee Perez, and it is a tremendous honor to be here with you this evening as we come together for this meaningful event. This occasion serves as a moving reminder of our shared humanity, the value of remembering the past, and the resilience of community. As we think about the countless lives that have been changed forever by the darkness of hatred and prejudice, we are reminded that each name we honor this evening represents a unique story and a real life, a relative, a loved one. These names are more than words. They are reminders of laughter and dreams that were violently and systematically stopped, and legacies that urge us to prevent genocides from being repeated. The act of remembering is not merely an exercise, it's our solemn promise to honor those who have died. Today, we find ourselves at a crucial junction in our nation's history, where anti Semitism is alarmingly on the rise. Under the guise of free speech, we are witnessing an unsettling resurgence that remind us how fragile our hard-fought freedoms are. Recent events and the rhetoric from various corners of our society have increased divisions, igniting old fears that we thought were left in the past. We have witnessed the disturbing emergence of Nazi sympathizers who boldly flaunt their hateful ideology, emboldened by a climate that allows hate to spread unchecked. This resurgence is a harsh reminder that we cannot afford to grow complacent. It is our responsibility to confront this hatred, every single one of us. We must hold our national leaders accountable, demanding that they not only condemn these hateful ideologies, but also work actively to ensure hate has no free pass in our society. As we stand together, we also recognize the richness that each individual brings to the tapestry of our community. Each name we read today embodies not just a memory, but a legacy that inspires us to act with compassion and to embrace our differences. In a time when division seems so prevalent, let us remember that our strength lies in diversity and in dialogue. As your elected representative, I am committed to fostering an environment where kindness prevails, where every individual feels valued, and where our differences are celebrated, not merely tolerated. It's more critical now than ever that we work together across all lines to promote understanding and healing. Today, as we hold this vigil, let us pledge to honor their memories through our actions. Let us refuse to let the hatred of the past creep into our present and future. We must stand united against all forms of hatred, including the resurgent Nazi sympathizers who threaten the very fabric of our society. We must protect the principles of inclusivity and acceptance that are the foundation of our democracy. It is not enough just to remember. We must also act, advocate, and ensure that the ghosts of the past do not overshadow our future. Every name read stands as a testament to someone loved and cherished. Every name reminds us of our collective responsibility to stand up for one another and the values we hold dear. Together, let's honor every name and every story. Thank you.
I would now like to introduce Cantor Ruth Berman Harris from Pasadena Jewish Temple and Center. She'll be singing L'chol Ish Yesh Shem, Everyone Has a Name, the song that is the namesake of this event. The words can be found in your program.
That's going to be a problem. Thank you. It's a team effort. לכל איש יש שם שנתן לו אלוהים ונתנו לו אביו ואמו. לכל איש יש שם שנתנו לו קומתו ואופן חיוכו ונתן לו הערים. לכל איש יש שם שנתנו לו הערים ונתנו לו כתליו. לכל איש יש שם שנתנו לו מזלות שנתנו לו שכיניו. לכל איש יש שם לכל איש יש שם. לכל איש יש שם שנתנו לו חטאיו ונתנה לו כמיהתו. לכל איש יש שם שנתנו לו שונאיו ונתנה לו אהבתו. לכל איש יש שם שנתנו לו חגיו ונתנה לו מלאכתו. לכל איש יש שם שנתנו לו תקופות השנה ונתן לו עברונו. לכל איש יש שם לכל איש יש שם. לכל איש יש שם שנתן לו הים ונתן לו מותו.
Thank you, Cantor. And now I'd like to invite back Assemblymember John Harabidian, who represents California's 41st Assembly District, to share some remarks.
Thank you, Jason. And that was beautiful, Cantor. Thank you very much for that. And I wanted to thank the musicians for the song earlier, but I think they left. But that was gorgeous as well. And it really is an honor to be with all of you tonight. And this is obviously an important occasion. It is every year, but it's my honor to actually be here speaking to you. And I know that this event really wouldn't be made possible without Jason Moss and the Jewish Federation, but it really wouldn't be possible without my friend, former Mayor Terry Tornick, who started this tradition and really is the reason why we are all here. And obviously my friend Victor Gordo, the current mayor, for continuing the tradition. So thank you to you both for welcoming us here once again to the footsteps of this beautiful city hall. As an Armenian, it might sound weird to say, but I think about the Holocaust a lot. I think the Armenians and the Jewish people have a kindred spirit because of our shared genocides. And just thinking about the Armenian people and what they went through in the first genocide of the 20th century and what the Jewish people went through in the most horrific genocide that the world has ever known, both people were brought to the brink of destruction and extinction, and they survived. And the perpetrators were not successful. And both the Jewish people and the Armenian people have since thrived and built communities throughout the world, including here in Pasadena, that we can all be very proud of. And whenever I think of the Armenian genocide, yeah, we can definitely, whenever I think of the Armenian genocide, I always think of the Holocaust. And I will say that there wasn't a stronger supporter in Sacramento and here in our community of both the Jewish people and the Armenian people than State Senator Anthony Portantino, who is here. And I want to give a big round of applause for him for everything he did and is still doing. And let me just say that when you commemorate and when you think about horrific things that have happened to you and your people, it's amazing to have allies. It's amazing to have people who aren't part of your race or ethnicity or religion to stand with you. And every year when we celebrate the Armenian genocide, the most touching words are always from non-Armenians. They're always from those who make a choice to show up to events like these and actually say something and make a choice to stand with Armenians. And tonight, we are all making a choice, those of us who aren't Jewish, to be here and to stand with the Jewish people and to say not only tonight, but forever that we are with you. We will be allies. We will not tolerate any anti-Semitism that has been there for decades. It's just more out in the open now, let's be honest. Anti-Semitism has obviously reared its ugly head since October 7th more than we would have imagined, but it has been there. It's been lurking. And I think that we need more allies. All of us need more people who aren't necessarily part of the group being persecuted to stand up and say what is happening isn't right. And I will tell you, I have a special place in my heart for the Jewish community for many reasons, one of which is my sons, as some of you know, went to the Jewish camp here at Gon Shalom at the Jewish temple, which is sadly, obviously, we know is no longer with us. And obviously the spiritual home of the Jewish people here in Pasadena needs to be rebuilt, and it will be rebuilt. And we will, just like we survived the Holocaust, we will survive and it will be better than ever. But when my two sons, after many weeks of going to Gon Shalom, which was, by the way, run by a fantastic executive director that was the granddaughter of the Tornicks, they would come home quite often and talk about the camp. And my 5-year-old came home, I think 3 weeks into it, and said, "Daddy, we're Jewish, right?" And of course I said, "Of course we are, baby. Of course we are Jewish." And I'll just say tonight we are all Jewish. Anytime we hear or see anti-Semitism, we are all Jewish. And whenever you need an ally, I will be with you, and I will be right there, Jewish with you. So I want to make sure that tonight when we are reading these names, we know that those names did not die in vain. We all know that that is true because we are all here and we are building a life together, and we will continue to build a life together. But it is really inspirational to be a part of this. Thank you for everyone who is making this possible, and we will continue to fight for you. Thank you.
I also wanted to share remarks and short remarks from Assembly Member Blanca Rubio, who couldn't join us today. She wanted me to share that she is a proud member of the Jewish Caucus and continues to stand in solidarity with our Jewish brothers and sisters. Tonight's event, as we gather to honor those who lost their lives during the Holocaust, it is spaces like these that allow our community to keep their memory alive and to remind us to continue striving for a just society. She also wanted me to share that the 48th Assembly District stands united with our Jewish people. And in times like this, we join together as a community to pray for all of the innocent victims. Their determination and strength remind us to continue using our voice to support the needs of our Jewish families around the world. We appreciate the time to allow us to express our heart to the Jewish community. And she just wanted to say it's truly an honor, although not able to be here with us in spirit, to be able to commemorate and tonight's Every Person Has a Name. Now it gives me great pleasure to introduce Rabbi Ralph Resnick from Temple Ami Shalom to say a few words and lead us in the Mourner's Kaddish.
Thank you so much, Jason. I really appreciate all of the hard work that you do for this beautiful community. Having grown up in Pasadena till I was 14 years old, this area means a lot to me. I have colleagues who were in elementary and middle school with me. I have a cousin who's very active in the Jewish community, and her wonderful husband, and it's wonderful being here. One of the last times I was in this area, although I'm at Temple Ami Shalom every Saturday morning to lead services, was when there was a terrible shooting in Monterey Park. And it was such an honor to be with Congressmember Chu at that time and to help and support your community. And it means so much that you and all of the assembly people and political people are here with us. I think that at a time like this, when we remember one of the darkest times in our history, I think it's wonderful to look around and see that the people who are here are virtually, this is America. This is America, this group sitting here. And I think it's so important that we have come together to support, at this time, the Jewish community. But whenever there's a situation like this, our communities come together to support each other. On the back of the pamphlet, you'll see the Mourner's Kaddish. This is a prayer that is said when a family member passes away or on the anniversary of their passing away. It does not mention death. It does not mention death. It speaks about our relationship to God and how important that is. I'm going to ask you to please rise physically or spiritually. I'm going to read on the Hebrew side. You can join in the English side, or you can also read the English, which I'm not going to have time to read together. But if you don't know the Hebrew, you can read along with it while we're doing the Hebrew. Yit Gadal v'yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah B'alma divra chirute B'amlich malchute B'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chaye dechol Beit Yisrael Ba'agala uv'izman kariv v'imru Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabbah mevarach le'alam ulolmei almaya Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitalev v'yithalal Shemei kudsha b'richu le'elam min kol birchata v'shirata Tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran bi'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. V'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. V'imru amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us and to all Israel, to which we say, amen. Please be seated. Thank you.
As our commemoration ceremony nears its conclusion, I invite Robin Toma, Executive Director of LA County's Commission on Human Relations, up to share a few words. Robin?
Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Jewish Federation of the Greater San Gabriel Valley and Pomona Valley. Thank you to everyone who's here, because clearly we care about where we are in this world today, and we know that this is such an important moment to remember those who have given their lives, who lost their lives to hate. And we can't help but think about what's happening this very day when, unfortunately, when a powerful government puts its stamp on discriminatory policies, scapegoating policies, what that does to our community. I have the unenviable task of leading the agency of LA County government, the LA County Human Relations Commission, which gathers all of the hate crime data reported by police agencies and community agencies each year. And we analyze it and look at what trends are happening. And the last time we held a press conference, we shared that we here in LA County have hit the highest totals of hate crime ever in our history, in our 40-plus year history of collecting the data. And it wasn't just against one group. Yes, the anti-Jewish crimes hit the highest record ever, but it was also the Black community, Latinos, the LGBT community, the trans community, the number of anti-immigrant remarks in hate crimes, that all went up. And this isn't always the case. The last time we had the highest total ever was because it was targeting one particular group. But this has been a very much a broadside against all communities who've traditionally been targeted. So when I think about the reason we're here today, to remember those who lost their lives in the Holocaust, one of the greatest violations of human rights, the greatest tragedies ever in human history, I can't help but think about where we are in that trajectory. And I want to say that sometimes it can be very depressing to think about where we are at this moment, but I have to tell you the other side of that. That's also part of my job. We are at a point where we have invested more in anti-hate actions, coalitions, strategies than ever before. There are more organizations that are actively working day in, day out, fighting against hate than ever before. I was recently at a gathering where I counted 57 community-based organizations that were there, all uniting, all from different communities, all trusted organizations by their community, together fighting hate. So that gave me a lot of hope. But I'll tell you also another thing that I know is real. One way to honor those who died in the Holocaust is also to recognize the lessons that we should learn from that experience. And one of the lessons that we often hear and are reminded of is that when the Nazi government started to go after different groups, often people said, well, I'm not them, so I'm not going to get involved. But we know that that leads to the kind of division that allows the government more easily to go after targeted groups. So one of the things we did is to really expand our radar to understand when people are being targeted, not just for hate crimes, but for any act of hate. The kind of heckling and harassment that you heard about, spoken earlier from our elected officials, that actually has never been specifically invited to be reported and for those people to be offered assistance and support. But LA versus Hate, the anti-hate program we're doing, is doing that. And the result of that is amazing because we are learning about so much more hate activity than ever before. So to respect those who we are remembering tonight, I think it's so important for us to remember the lesson learned that we need to act on behalf of each other. We need to stand up for one another. We need to be together. And I believe that when we are all showing, because there are way more of us who stand against hate than those who propagate hate, if we make that visible in our communities by putting up a poster in your window of your business, putting up a yard sign, talking to your neighbors and responding whenever anyone ever experiences an act of hate targeting them. Sometimes it can be hard to be the first one to step forward when something like that happens. You might think that you're going to become a target of that same actor, that same perpetrator of hate. But the truth is that if we all take the time and effort to show our solidarity and to learn how to respond to hate when we see it through bystander training, then we will be the kind of community that will be immune to hate. And we can reverse this very long time period of a growth in hate crimes in our county. Because you and I all know that there are so many more of us than them. But if we don't stand up for each other, if we don't show that, if we don't act when we see it happening right in front of us because we're stunned at what's going on and we haven't prepared ourselves, then the hate can grow. So I invite all of you to join us if you're not sure what to do to take a stand against the hate that we're seeing. Go to laversushate.org and help us because we can't do it alone. We really count on all of you to do that in your communities so that in every neighborhood, in every school, in every faith community, in every workplace, it is clear to anyone who is thinking differently that we will stand together against hate. Thank you.
In a moment, we'll begin our 24 hours of reading the names of some of the 6 million Jews who were murdered during the Holocaust. Like we've done in previous years, we are partnering with Jewish Gen, the global home for Jewish genealogy, to generate some of our list of names. We're also picking up where we left off last year and the year before and the year before that. In addition, many of our volunteers will be reading the names of family members who perished at the hands of the Nazis. We estimate that over the course of the next 24 hours, our volunteers will remember more than 8,000 people. While that does seem like a lot, I want to put that number in perspective. Since we started in 2019, we've read just over 48,000 names, less than 1%. In order for us to read the names of each of the 6 million people who were murdered, we would need to continue doing this nonstop for approximately the next 750 days. That is an equivalent of 2 years and 20 days. If you're out and about over the next 24 hours, please stop by, sit and listen as the names are read. We also ask that you help us please spread the word by encouraging others to join you or watch our live stream on Facebook at facebook.com/JewishSGPV. We're excited that this year's Holocaust exhibition on display behind me has been provided by Anne Frank LA, a local nonprofit that creates and presents innovative, educational, and cultural programs and community events that further the legacy of Anne Frank. The exhibit, Anne Frank, A History for Today, is the same one they use to train high school students as docents. In fact, we have one of those docents with us today. And they will be on hand for periodically over the next 24 hours to answer questions and provides insight. What you may not be aware of is that last year, The city of Pasadena joined the city of Los Angeles in recognizing May 12th as Anne Frank Day. Thank you, Mayor Gordo and the entire Pasadena City Council for making this happen and for the recognition. And in our growing effort to expand our partnerships, we're excited that Pasadena Armory for the Arts will be offering a weaving art project tomorrow morning between 10 a.m. and 1 p.m. while names are being read. And throughout the 24 hours, representatives from LA versus Hate, as Robin mentioned, will be on hand, as well as volunteers from the American Red Cross's Holocaust Tracking Services. Many of you received their pamphlet as you sat down, with information about how they can help community members research what their relatives and friends went through during the Holocaust. The programs for tonight's ceremony were provided by Grand Printing in Covina, and we appreciate their support and ongoing friendship. Again, thank you to everyone who participated in tonight's ceremony, and to all of you here tonight. You are helping us keep the memories alive and remembering that everyone has a name. May their memory and their names forever be a blessing. Thank you. Before we officially conclude Every Person Has a Name with the recitation of the Mourner's Kaddish, I want to extend a special thank you to a few important people. This event would not have been possible without the amazing technical support from Jake Tavill and his team of Zachary Grillon, Lou Blackman, and Pascal Paul. It is because of each of you that this event went as smoothly as it did. Thank you. I also want to extend a special thank you to Karen Galliana, Rebecca Russell, and Lori Eisenberg. This year's program had more moving parts than we could possibly imagine, and you handled it all with such poise and grace. The event itself would not have been possible without each of you, so thank you. For the past 24 hours, over 150 community members, including survivors and children of Holocaust survivors, read more names than we could count in the 24 hours, although we will be sending out an approximate amount on Tuesday when we send out our email recap. The names that were read also included members of their own families that they wanted to remember, reading their names and whatever personal information that was available from both Jewish Gen and Yad Vashem.
That's great.
By reading and hearing the names, we keep their memory alive and remember them. Now it continues to be our responsibility and obligation to keep their memories alive and pass along their stories to future generations. This is one of the greatest mitzvot we can do because they are not able to thank or repay us for doing it. We also remember the people whose names we were not able to read during these past 24 hours. We will do that by concluding our program with Kaddish. Before we do Kaddish, Marcia, if you'll read that section, please. It is entitled Our Martyrs.
We have lived in numberless towns and villages, and in too many of them, we have endured cruel suffering. Some we have forgotten, others are sealed into our memories, a wound that does not heal. 100 generations of victims and martyrs, still their blood cries out from the earth. And so many at Dachau, at Buchenwald, at Babi Yar. What can we say? What can we do? How we bear the unbearable, or accept the life that has brought us to our people? All who are born must die, but how shall we compare the slow passage of our time with the callow slaughter of innocents cut off before their time? They lived with faith, not all, but many, and surely many died. With faith in God, in life, in goodness, that even then flames cannot destroy. May we find a way to the strength of faith, that trust, that sure sunset, that life and soul endure beyond this body's death. They have left their lives to us. Let a million prayers rise wherever Jews worship. Let a million candles glow against the darkness of the unfinished lives. We recall the loved ones.
Now, while it might not be your custom, I ask everyone to rise and join me so that we can say Kaddish for those who no longer have anyone to say Kaddish for them. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shmei Rabbah v'amal divrach hirute v'amlich malchute v'chayechon u'vyomechon u'chaye dechol beit Yisrael v'agala u'izman kari v'imru. Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam u'lamei almaya Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei dekudesha brichu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tush bechata v'nechemata damiran be'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, huya aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us, to all of Israel, and may all of the names we read in the last 24 hours forever be a blessing. Amen. Thank you again for joining us, and I hope you have a good rest of the evening. Good night.